and today I'm with my beautiful friend, Rubayet Lasker.
Hi! I'm Car's friend. My name is Rubayet.
So today we're going to talk about public interest law from a law student's perspective. So tell me about yourself, Rubayet.
Okay, yeah, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for it's such an honor to be on your channel. I'm so proud of you for doing this.
Girl, just introduce yourself.
I just want to tell Car's followers that I know Car from our first year, day one, ride or die. We worked on our first legal writing assignment together.
Yes, with Professor K.
Yep.
Made
Professor
it through.
Sobiak, she's gonna get a copy of this video probably. And and yeah, it was just really lovely to have someone as bubbly as Carnell laughs on on this assignment with me, and I just felt so much more calm having someone so lovely and such a positive light.
Likewise, we both kept each other calm, and her mom makes really good food, and so the Bengali food was so good.
Oh my
it was
gosh.
good. It just saved our soul. Those late nights we were trying to type up this brief.
Not everyone even likes Bengali food, so I just loved that Car liked it so much.
It was really good. Listen, send me Bengali food, please.
Hell yeah, girl. Hell yeah.
Rubayet Lasker, who are you?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I don't know. But in terms of my law career,
Yes.
I would like to be a public defender when I graduate, which means that I would like to provide criminal legal defense for defendants that are unable to pay for a private defense attorney. And I'm really passionate about that work, mostly because I'm really passionate about criminal law, the criminal legal system, and how terrible it is. And I would like to use whatever privilege and education I have to combat the unjust criminal legal system.
So Rubayet is also, in addition to wanting to be a public defense attorney, she is a 3L at the same University of Law School that I attend, and she is a part of the public interest program. So Rubayet, what is public interest law?
Yeah, so that's a big question, and first of all, I want to say public interest law means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. So what I think public interest law means might differ from even what you think of it versus anyone else. So to me, public interest law, obviously at the most base form, it's about using your law degree or pointing your legal career towards the interest of the public. So a lot of, just public good. So people think that, immigration lawyers, defense attorneys, in some contexts, prosecutors. I personally have a weird relationship or understanding of prosecutors, but a lot of people think of prosecutors as people who are working in the public interest. Family law people, any kind of pro bono work could be considered public interest. It kind of varies and is a expansive field.
Okay, it runs the gamut.
Yeah, legal aid is also a huge one, sorry.
No, you're right, it is. So why is public interest important, and what need does it particularly fill?
So I'm going to use one word for that I basically learned in law school, and that's called indigent, which basically means people that can't pay, that are living either in poverty or a certain level where they can't pay for their legal services. So we call those people indigent clients. So a big part of public interest law and the importance that it fills is that hiring a lawyer is expensive, and a lot of people that need lawyers, people that are being evicted, people that are homeless, people that are struggling in their job, people that are in the criminal system, whatever that may be, people that are undocumented, whatever, the list goes on and on. They need lawyers, but they can't pay for lawyers. And so a lot, public interest law kind of fulfills a range of needs that aren't being filled through like payment, in my opinion.
As a law student, how are you involved with public interest?
Let me just pull out my resume.
Let's do.
No. So yeah, I've been really privileged to have several opportunities to work in public interest law. So I came into law school knowing that I wanted to do public interest. So, you know, I worked a lot with Adelante, Alabama, for example, which is a local organization that works at the intersection of labor rights and immigration rights. So we worked a lot with undocumented immigrants who are, you know, not being paid properly at their work because they're undocumented. I worked a lot with habeas proceedings, which basically means that some people have a constitutional right to be released from prison or detention centers. So I worked a lot with habeas immigration cases, habeas prison cases, and yeah, I mean, I worked at public defenders' offices. Right now, I'm working at the Juvenile Public Defender's Office. I worked at the Children's Rights Clinic, which worked with children with disabilities and making sure that their rights were being fulfilled. Currently I'm working at the Criminal Defense Clinic, offering legal services to defendants that are in need of lawyers for free. Yeah, so quite a bit.
So Rubayet, the next question is, for those of us that are wanting to go into law school or we're current law students, how can we go down the public interest route?
Okay, so yeah, people that are interested in going into public interest law, the good thing about public interest law is that it's not like a lot of people are going into it. You know, I think a lot of people are deterred from public interest law for several reasons, primarily money, which I'll talk about. So, you know, there's a lot of opportunities. There's a huge need for public interest lawyers because there's such a, you know, public interest covers like such a wide range of topics, whether it's labor law, immigration law, criminal law, family law, like literally anything that you can think of, there's a public interest need. So I think first off, if you have the time, volunteering your services, because you as lawyers or you as law students have a lot to offer, and you as law students know a lot more than you think you do. So, you know, going into legal aid organizations, or if you have a public interest institute at your school, they will offer lots of pro bono opportunities, volunteer opportunities, which will help you also get a lot of experience. And then the second thing, if you want to go into public interest law, you know, taking advantage of your clinical programs. Most law schools have a clinical program, which is basically where you get to practice under the supervision of your professor, who's an attorney. And usually all of the clinical programs are free legal services, and they're usually in the realm of public interest. And so those are a really good opportunity for you to get into public interest. And then third is obviously internships and externships. And this is where I would say that there's a myth out there that public interest internships are not paid. And it's true for some places, for sure. And in that scenario, there's also usually your school will give you scholarships for the summer. It's small scholarships, like our school usually gives us like $3,000 for the summer, which I know is like not a lot to live on. But there are paid opportunities. So my first summer I did a Peggy Browning fellowship, which was a labor law fellowship, and I got $6,000 for the summer. And then my second internship I did at Palestine Legal, and I was paid, I think, $12 an hour, 40 hours a week. So like fairly good pay. It's obviously not going to like pay off your student loans and things. And if that's an issue, like I completely understand. But you know, trying to do those internships, or if you can't afford to do a summer internship, that's, you know, not paid as much. You can also do spring internships and fall internships. So doing it with your classwork when you're not expecting to get paid maybe. And yeah, so lots of advice there.
So for future law students, what are some pieces of advice or advice that you can give for those wanting to go down the public interest route?
Let's see. I think the first thing that law students think about is the fact that there's not a lot of money in public interest. And to that, I would say that you're not going to get like 6 figures starting out in public interest, but you would be able to make like a solid living. Like most of the public defender jobs that I'm applying to, starting salary is like $65,000, which for me is okay. And I know that that's not the ideal for people that are maybe trying to support children or family members, parents, whatever. But my biggest piece of advice, if you're worried about financial stuff, is, just doing the research to find paid internship opportunities, because there are quite a few. I've been paid every time for summer opportunities. And the second thing that I would give if people really want to go into public interest is just in public interest, in my experience, I go to a top 25 institution, so that also plays into it, but grades like really don't matter. And I just feel like so many law students are so worried about grades, and I think like in other fields it might matter a lot, but for public interest they literally don't look at your transcript. So just focus on learning the law, and also focus on getting as much experiential learning as you can, so clinics, externships, and getting as much as you can out of those.
How about we talk about our clinical experience helping indigent people?
Yeah. Well, what clinic are you in?
I'm in the mediation clinic.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm in the criminal defense clinic.
Yes.
I've heard great things about the mediation clinic.
Mediation is fun. But what is the criminal defense clinic? Do you have, were you able to get into it? Like, do you need your baby bar card for it? Tell us about that.
Yes, you do need your baby bar card, and I had a whole issue with that. It's so annoying to get your bar card as a student, but I got it, which is good. But yeah, the criminal defense clinic is awesome. It is by far the most rewarding and educational experience that I've had at the law school. Yeah, the criminal defense clinic is honestly really intensive. It's a 6-hour course the first semester, so you have a 4-credit casework course and then a 2-credit classwork course. So basically for your casework, you have to log in like 12 to 15 hours a week, and you have your own caseload. And so sometimes DUI charges, we do some post-conviction cases where people are in prison and are trying to get out, so some habeas cases. But basically, yeah, so we have our own caseload, generally like 10 cases with you and a partner. And it's like public defender boot camp, I call it. Like, you are working as an attorney. Like, our professor is really good about, like, obviously, like, being extremely helpful. We have weekly supervision meetings, but it's really like you are there, like you are dropped in, which I don't know how I would have been a criminal defense attorney if it wasn't for the clinic, because you cannot learn everything unless you're dropped in. Like, little things like how to dress in court and how to act in court, and who is the magistrate, and like what does clerks mean versus the prosecutor versus the judge, like all of that stuff, like little things. And then, I'm gonna do another trial. I already did one trial, so preparing for trial and like motion hearings and filing, like what does filing mean, like what does filing a motion mean, like all of that stuff you learn in clinic. And I would say that it's potentially better than an internship, because an internship, they're kind of babying you a lot. You're only there for like a few weeks, like 10 weeks tops, and so they're going to give you some assignments here and there, some research assignments and whatnot, but they're not going to give you like a caseload. But in clinic, usually you're like on top of a caseload. I also worked at the Children's Rights Clinic last year, and that was a really good experience too, where we have a caseload. And that was like a really good preparation for the criminal defense clinic, because it was just a 3-credit class. So we had a caseload, but I wasn't as much in court and things like that. So it was like a little stepping stone to something as intense as the criminal defense clinic. And then we also have the 2-credit class for clinic. And so what we do in our class is our professor gives us assignments and basically takes us through a trial. So like we had opening statement assignments, cross-examination, which is like a whole thing in trial, like cross-examination assignments, and direct exam, and closing arguments, and all of that stuff, like everything we learn like theoretically in the class.
Thanks for watching part 1 featuring Rubayet Lasker. Stay tuned for part 2. I love you. Bye.